What's going on, guys? What's going on? To anybody that comes on, let me know about the audio. I know it's been choppy at times. I have no idea what's going on with his laptop, but um, maybe it's just time for a new laptop. I don't know, but let me know how the audio is. It could be this. I got these Bluetooth headsets, and I don't know that's what it is, and I don't know. So let me know about that. Let's just whether it's boxing, politics, wrestling, whatever, as long as it's appropriate, of course. All right. Um, just here to take questions. I have no idea how long I'm going to be on here. I have no clue. All right. I'm getting the chat up ASAP. Okay. So excuse me while I do that. There we go. All right. So again, let me know how the chat sound or just the audio. I don't want to sound all choppy like I'm cutting off all over the place. I may have to just plug in the old headphones. They have a cord. They're not Bluetooth. But it's all good. Okay, it's all good. Um, I was inspired to just come on here and do this just because I have about an extra hour. I don't know if I'll be on that long. It just depends if anybody's even out there. Um, but let me know if you're there. Now, I was inspired to do this video because I saw a message, and the message, I'm paraphrasing here, but it said, "You should be ashamed of yourself." While you were giving the breakdown of Gennady Golovkin, I think they said Triple G, whatever, right? Versus Danny Jacobs. And this is my imitation voice, by the way. But anyway, you should be ashamed of yourself. I was breaking it down and you ignored me while I was, giving my take. Like what? Okay. Um, the guy went on and he's like, I know that you know that Triple G won. You should be ashamed of yourself. Oh, man. All right. Wow. Right off the bat, who do you got? Brooke versus Spence. That's Faizan Khan. Are you related to Mir Khan? No, probably not. But look, check it out. Who's gonna win the fight between Brooke and Spence? I was gonna do a video about it, but since I'm here, um, I'm gonna be honest, and I've always gotten on people's cases, just for fun, obviously, but never too serious about it. But because they're on the fence, right? And this is one of those fights where I'm on the fence. I'm on the fence. I'm not gonna stay on the fence. I'm gonna give you a clear winner who I believe is gonna win. I believe I'll get it right, but I'm on the fence on that fight. I'm favoring Spence, to be honest. A lot of I mean, first of all, people picking Brooke are just hilarious. Okay, there's actually good reasons to pick Brooke, but when I see a breakdown that goes something like this, this is a breakdown. You ready for? I'm gonna do the voice for the breakdown. All right. Oh, Gennady Golovkin couldn't take him down. He couldn't knock him out. What makes you think, Spence could knock him out, huh? Like, what? So what? Like, what? So because Gennady Golovkin didn't knock him out. Well, first of all, they did stop the fight, but they're insinuating that. I mean, if he could survive a couple rounds with Gennady Golovkin, I mean, who's Errol Spence to beat him? I mean, really, right? Uh, okay. Let's not forget, while he, made Gennady Golovkin look a little for a couple rounds, he ultimately did lose. He did not win the fight. Okay, that's number one. Yes, you can say the eye or whatever, but nonetheless, that's boxing, and he lost, right? Um, like what? It's what does that have to do with the fight against Spence? Nothing, right? That has nothing to do with it. Nothing, right? Um, so Manny Pacquiao fought a big ass Margarito, and Margarito didn't knock him out. What happened when he fought little ass Marquez? Little ass Marquez knocked him out. Okay, so it doesn't matter. Like this whole thing, it's just you got to look at the matchup. And I believe that the pressure that Spence is going to put on Brook, although I'm still on the fence here, I'll admit, I think he could apply very smart pressure on Kell Brook that's going to make Kell Brook very uncomfortable in that fight. Errol Spence also has something that very few fighters today have. I criticize the sport of boxing as a whole, right, for the lack of fundamentals. But Spence, I mean, he's basically it, right? I mean, this dude is the fundamentals incarnate. All right, so very good jab, textbook, just total textbook. This kid. So um, I'm a little biased because of that, because he utilizes a jab. Like it's like shocking to see. Yeah, so there you go, right? But I'm favoring Spence, but I'm on the fence, and that's as far as I'm going to go with that fight. But the reason I'm on the fence is because if we keep it real, Spence has never fought that level of opposition. Okay, but eventually, you had to fight that level of opposition, and we don't know for sure how Spence is going to react to the crowd, to the big occasion, the big lights. We just don't know that. So there's a little bit of a mystery there. And I mean, Cal Brook is no pushover. I mean, Cal Brook is the real deal. Okay, this guy's he's a really good fighter, right? And speaking of fundamentals, I mean, he's got it down too. I just think Errol Spence, I believe anyway, is a special fighter. And I understand Cal Brooks' nickname is special, right? But we're going to find out who really is special. Let's just say that, right? But I think Spence has the edge going in. It's going to be a great fight, though. I'm glad the fight got done. Will weight be an issue for Cal Brook? I have no idea, to be honest with you. Um, I don't. I'm not really the guy to ask that question. I wouldn't really know about that, but specifically. But if I speculate, which is all I could do, right? Um, if Cal Brook, and I speculate he did, put on a lot of muscle to move up to middleweight in a very unnatural way, right? And this is a very educated guess here, but I admit I'm speculating. Cal Brook, all right, jumped up from welterweight all the way up to middleweight to fight the middleweight champion. Literally after just no fight in between, nothing. And a lot of people compared that to when um, when he fought, like for example, not him, but Trinidad, for example. Look at the difference, right? Trinidad fought at welterweight for years, defended the title several times, moved up one weight class to 154, fought a couple times there, moved up to middleweight, fought a couple times there. So it's not like it wasn't just a one-time jump. He naturally progressed there. Oscar De La Hoya, I mean, he went weight class after weight class. It was a natural progression. He was a welterweight for a while. He made a pit stop for a good time there. Then he went to 154, and then he went to 160, right? So in Cal Brooks' case, it could definitely have an effect if he put on a lot of muscle to go up in weight, But I mean, nowadays, man, these guys got like some really good nutritionists, and I mean, they got that shit down nowadays. So I don't. A lot of these X factors, I don't like to really pick a fight based off of that. If I'm picking Spence to win the fight, which is more than likely what I'm going to do, and that negatively impacts Brook, then oh well, right? But I'm not going to bank on that, So that's speculation. Anthony Joshua versus Klitschko, Mr. Boxing Today. What's up, Mr. Boxing Today? How are you doing? All right, everybody, make sure you subscribe to Mr. Boxing Today too. All right, the number 2 at the end. um, you know, man, that's a tough fight. That's a tough fight. I actually had Klitschko, side note, beating Fury in the rematch. Believe it or not. Now I did pick him to beat Fury the first time, and that we saw that went. But I thought he would have beat him in the rematch. All right. But as far as Anthony Joshua goes, it's very similar to the Spence situation, where he hasn't fought at this level, you know. Um, but at the same time, Klitschko's fucking old, right? So those two things would offset each other. I'm gonna go with Anthony Joshua, right? I think Anthony Joshua wins. I think he's at this point he's just too big, too strong, and just faster than Klitschko, and he has power. And I honestly think he'll knock out Klitschko early, maybe fifth round. I know that sounds crazy, right? But if he doesn't knock out Klitschko within the first 6 rounds, it's going to be a long, long night for Anthony Joshua, right? I mean, it's going to be a long night, right? It might be a snooze fest and it might be boring as shit to watch, right? But I still personally appreciate it. I do. It's not easy to do what Klitschko does for 12 rounds. It's not. No, not at that size, not at that weight, and that jab is still, it's, as much as people complain about the fights of Klitschko fights, when he's winning, the jab is still a beautiful thing to see. When he does throw that hook, man, that hook is deadly as hell, man. It's very few heavyweights can throw multiple hooks like that dude did to Ray Austin against the ropes. I mean, just like back-to-back hooks and knock them out, especially in today's age. You don't really see that. So he's definitely dangerous. There's no doubt. It is a heavyweight division. I'm not counting Klitschko out. I just think Josh's best chance of winning is early, when the first 5 to 6 rounds, hurting Klitschko and catching him off guard, just catching him off guard with that explosiveness. I think it's the best shot Anthony Joshua's got, because anything that over 6 rounds, I think it's gonna be a long night for Anthony Joshua. I think Klitschko is gonna punish him with that jab, with that, and I forgot to mention, I mean, the straight right. I mean, it's a thing of beauty. And a lot of people they don't like, the jab clinch, jab clinch, jab cross, clinch, a hook here and there. But I don't think you're going to see that in this fight. Klitschko does not generally clinch that much against guys his height or bigger, right? And it's probably a smart thing. It doesn't quite make sense. And he's going to tire himself out. He tends to do it against the smaller dudes, or the stockier, shorter guys than him, So, I think it's going to be a great fight. I look forward to this fight. All right, well, what else is being asked here? Well, is the IBF is that what they're fighting for? Spence and Brook. I don't keep up with the alphabet belts like that. Like, I just know someone's a champion, and that's about it nowadays, right? So I'm just throwing that out there. Since that was just randomly mentioned, the 10-pound rehydration limit is weird to me, right? So I am a channel that advocates, right, for bringing back the days of same day weigh, right? And I've given reasons for that, but and it may sound weird for people, but it's I don't support these, weird same day rehydration weights. It kind of defeats the whole purpose, If you're gonna have people, if the weight that you weigh the same day is the one that matters, right? Then why not just have it at the weight class like they did forever, right? I mean, that this 10-pound thing is just, it's kind of strange. Maybe I'm wrong. And if anybody knows this, they could just correct me because I'm too lazy to look it up. But does the IBF do 10-pound rehydration for all the weight class? Like all the weight classes? Or is it different between weight? Because it makes no sense to have a 10-pound rehydration clause at lightweight, right? And then a 10-pound rehydration clause at light heavyweight, where the pounds are a little less relevant the higher you go in weight. So I don't know. Does anybody know that? Another reason I'm kind of, I just think it defeats the purpose is because in most cases, guys are going to weigh in. Like the fight is literally like over 24 hours before the actual fight, right? The official weight. And then guys are just rehydrating the moment they step off that scale. Like the moment they step off the scale, they're already rehydrating, right? Um, at some point the next day, they fully rehydrate. I imagine it depends per fighter, right? I only have like anecdotal evidence based off of that. You know, guys I knew that boxed amateur or that wrestled amateurly, right? Some of them would fully rehydrate to their natural weight class, just or not natural weight, that is, in a couple hours. Some of them will take longer than that till the next day. So I guess it just depends. Um, but I wouldn't know how most are or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I think in most cases, if they meet the day before weigh-in, they're going to meet the rehydration weigh-in. I just think a rehydration weigh-in is kind of stupid. You know, that's my opinion. I get it, right? The whole point is to make sure somebody doesn't outrageously outweigh their opponent, you know, for so long, right? I mean, I guess that's the thing. But if you're gonna weigh them, then you should do it right before they fight, like an hour before the fight, because that's the real weight. That's the weight that matters. Not if they weigh in 12 hours after the weigh-in. Is that when you do it? Then at that point, it's you know, it's still not the real weight, right? It's not. Do you like the IBF rehydration rule? Well, I kind of just talked about that. Kind of got ahead of myself right there. Yeah, I mean, they're the only sanctioning body that has that. Uh, I don't know. It's, you know, I mean, I get it, right? I mean, they want to disclose the weights. Fair enough. They want to limit the amount that guys rehydrate. No, fair enough, right? Um, but I'm so interested to know how it works in the lower weight classes. Like, does it? It should be percentage based, really, not really um, pound based, in my opinion, right? If we're going to get very scientific about it, but you know, what are you going to do? I'm not a big fan of it. It's not the end of the world. It's not like a terrible thing. For all the things wrong with boxing, this is not really one of them. But I'm just saying. Yes, I do live in America. I'm living in America. Like the song, right? Like the song. I'm living in the USA. That question was by Faizan Khan. But yeah, Mr. Doc, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the whole disclosing of the same weight or anything like that. Um, uh, or you know, the whole rehydration rule. It's kind of weird to me. You know, I don't know. It's either you do the same day weight or you don't. You know, uh, you know. Crawford versus Diaz. I like the fight. I like the fight a lot. Um, I'm gonna definitely favor Crawford. I think Crawford's gonna be a big star, man. Um, I mean, I don't mean that like he's going to be a pay per view star. I have no idea about that, but I think he's going to be the next big thing in boxing. You know, I mean, this guy is just an unbelievable boxer, right? So I'll favor Crawford over anybody, right? In all honesty, I mean, you could put Crawford in there, of course, if the weight class makes sense, but um, I see Crawford going big places, man. And a lot of people, it's going to sound like, I mean, I just said I love the fight, but I think it's gonna be an easy night for Crawford. No disrespect to Diaz. I think he's a great fighter, but I think Crawford eats him up. Not because Diaz is a terrible fighter, because I just think Crawford is that damn good. I really do. That jab, that unbelievable jab. Speaking of jabs, if because I was just talking about Klitschko's jab not that long ago, and then I mentioned Spence his jab. I just mentioned Crawford's jab. I am interested to know on who just anybody out there, right? Who do you believe has the best jab in boxing today? Hell, I'll even let you count Conor McGregor, right? If you think Conor McGregor, okay, if you want to count him, go ahead, right? But in all seriousness, who has the best jab in boxing? I've been telling people for years, Klitschko has a phenomenal jab, right? Um, and he doesn't get credit for it. He doesn't, right? And sometimes it's like it's all he really shows, right? But and it could be very frustrating. But really good jab, Klitschko. I think he has the best jab at heavyweight right now. Even today, even at that age, I think Klitschko has the best jab in boxing. What do you guys think? Who do you think has the best jab in the sport right now? Do you think anybody at heavyweight has a better jab? Jermell Charlo has the best jab, in my opinion. Yeah, it's a good jab. I don't know about the best, but I'm trying to think here. Um, Lomachenko has a good jab. You think Jermell Charlo has the best jab in all of boxing? I mix up the two brothers in my head sometimes. Um, it's a good jab. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to agree. It's the best jab. It's in all of boxing, the entire like in the division or all of boxing. Because I'm not sure, man. I don't know. It's a good jab. You can't go wrong with it. Maybe I want to see him fight. You know, a little higher competition. Just kind of judge the jab a little better. But that's me. A lot of people out there believe Gennady Golovkin has a good jab. He has a very good power jab. Um, when it lands, probably the most effective jab, one of the most effective jabs. But um, I get if a lot of Gennady Golovkin fans get mad when I say this, but I think it's a very telegraphed jab, and I think that's a problem. Okay, I think he telegraphs it dramatically when he kind of steps forward and throws it. So it's I saw Jacobs take advantage of that, especially in the second half of their fight. Cal Brook took advantage of it early, but then the eye really started to bother him. So I wouldn't personally put Gennady Golovkin up there with the best jab in all of boxing. Jermell Charlo, though, I'm still trying to picture it in my head here. Eh. At heavyweight, yeah, Luis Ortiz, yes. He could, yep. So Mr. Doc put at heavyweight, Luis Ortiz has the most educated jab, but doesn't always show it. Can double it, hook off it, power jab, measuring jab. I've seen him do it all with it. It's a really good jab, but you're right. Um, he doesn't always show it, right? So I think the way I grade a jab is um, how good the jab could potentially be if they if they actually used it, you know, is one thing. You know what I mean? But it's I'm sure Luis Ortiz will have plenty of opportunities to use it though. So it's maybe he hasn't felt like he's had to. I don't know, but who am I to speculate? A lot of people say they like GGG's jab. I like his jab too. Um, it's I like the jab. Okay. Um, Mr. Doc put Golovkin's jab is sharp. It's a timing jab. Yeah. He's look, man. Golovkin is very, very good at timing. Right. He's very good at timing. Okay. He's not a blistering fast fighter. I'm not saying he's slow. Don't get me wrong, but um, he's very good at timing, and the jab has a lot to do with that. It's a very powerful jab. When it lands, like I said, it's one of the most effective when it lands. Okay, but it's very telegraphed, in my opinion, right? I mean, it's GGG telegraphs most of his punches. Cave Trank 666 put. Um, you could say that. You could say that. Look, this you don't really want your punches to be telegraphed, but sometimes if you it's how can I put this? So if you ever see two boxers fight, right? And if you notice, they're not looking at each other in the eyes, right? I mean, you look at a lover in the eyes. You don't look at a guy you're fighting in the eyes. Okay. I'm not saying never glance at their eyes or anything like that, but um, you got to have full awareness of everything. But what you're looking at is you're looking at their movements, right? And their footwork, especially because their footwork tells you what they're going to do. And you got to time that. So my thing with Gennady Golovkin is that there's always, almost always, and look, every jab has a step forward jab, like every single one of them. But the problem with Gennady Golovkin's is it almost just screams, "I'm gonna throw the jab right now." Like it's just you know what I mean? It's kind of like I'm gonna throw my jab now. Like it's just kind of the way I always see it. Now it's a very effective jab. It's powerful, and obviously I'm being tongue cheek here. It's not that telegraphed, but I'm just kind of making a point. So all punches, technically speaking, if thrown properly, are telegraphed, right? But the one you don't want to be, you want to make them as the least telegraphed as possible, And there's also feinting, and there's other things you can do that offsets all that. But and Gennady Golovkin does that, okay? But with the jab, though, it's just with Gennady Golovkin. If I'm honest, it's I think a high class fighter can see that coming a mile away. And if your jab is that predictable, then you're going to have a lot of problems. And I think, in my opinion, I think you saw that last Saturday night. You think Rigo has a good jab? Yeah. Rigo has a good jab. Hell yeah. Rigo has a real good jab. It's my problem with Rigo overall. Um, here's my thing with Rigo. Okay. Number one, look, I know Rico has a lot of detractors who just hate the guy, and I get that, right? So fuck them. I don't care about them, right? But if I'm honest, right, it's frustrating watching Rigo fight, right? It's a very frustrating thing, um, because especially when you see that he's just outclassing his opponent, he's like at a whole nother stratosphere, but he won't throw more punches. It's like a very frustrating thing, and it's like it's frustrating to watch, right? I honestly wish I'm not asking the guy to throw 100 punches around. You know, I'm not saying turn into a swarmer because that's not what I'm saying. But I would like to see a few more punches thrown. You know, triple the out. I mean, the dude will throw 12 punches around sometimes. I mean, that's even at heavyweight, that's ridiculous, right? I mean, he's got to throw more. Now, with that said, I still think he wins the fights. You know, it's not like, oh, I thought he lost. I thought he dominated, but it's just frustrating. It's frustrating to watch the guy fight, right? I think he's capable of more. You know, um, I think he could do even better. I'm not even saying like knock him out. Like I'm just saying throw more. I think he could look even better if he threw more. I just think he gets extremely comfortable. He lands a couple punches and he stops throwing. It's like he lands three and then he just stops throwing because his opponent hasn't landed any. You know, it's just like, dude, it's just a frustrating thing, right? How do you feel about or Ramon Turner asked, how do you feel about Ward Kovalev 2? Is that fight gonna happen? Like what? I thought. I mean, it's you got Ward over there talking about retirement and freaking. I don't know. If the fight happens, hell yeah, I'm all for the fight. I enjoyed that fight. Um, it was a fun fight to watch. I enjoyed the hell out of that fight. I think this time it's regardless of who you think won. I think more people are going to have Ward winning this time. I think Ward is going to. I think he's figured out Kovalev a little bit. You don't want to fight a guy like Ward twice. You know, somebody who can. Um, when Ward fights guys, he studies them. Like he's not just going through the motion. Like it's not like he's just taking it round by round, and he's some pattern fighter that just just goes by the situation at hand. He studies guys. He kind of figures them out. He's that type of fighter. He's a thinking fighter. And Kovalev is going to have to do a lot of adjustments if he wants to win that fight. He's not going to win by fighting the same way. He's going to have to make some adjustments here. I mean, even when he knocked down Ward and he had him in trouble, I mean, you still saw Ward get up and he stayed cool, calm, collective. He made some adjustments, and Kovalev was not able to knock him down again. Kovalev was not able to land a clean punch like that for the rest of the fight. And you saw that because he couldn't knock him down, right? Now, some people had Kovalev winning. Okay, some had Ward winning. If we're honest, most had Kovalev winning, right? But I would say it was about 60-40 in Kovalev's favor if I would have put a number on it. But I think this time I would favor Ward to win. I think it would be an easier fight for Floyd. I'm sorry, for Ward, right? Um, and that's that. I got Facebook messages right now about Floyd Mayweather versus Conor McGregor for some reason. Um, I'm just saying, what the fuck is this? This is all people are talking about on social media, right? It's insane, right? But yeah, I got Ward winning. I think Ward wins in a. I think he has a comfortable victory, to be honest. I think the talk about his knees and could he hold up? Can he take the pressure of Kovalev? And I think all that's been answered. I think now he knows he can take Kovalev's best punch and get up. He knows he can go 12 rounds with him. After the 12th round, he knows how much more he could have done, how much more he had in the tank. And just knowing all that, I mean, for a guy like Ward, to think he fight like that, I'll put my money on Ward all day. How do you think? Well, great Drank 6-6 asks, how do you think GGG would fare with 90 middleweight? I believe he's mean like 90s, right? Like Julian Jackson, Gerald McLennan, James Toney, Bernard Hopkins, etc. Well, I'm gonna get some fanboys pissed off, but I think Gennady Golovkin has a very hard time being a top 5 middleweight in that era. He has a very hard time. I'm not going to say top 10. I think he could crack top 10. But top 5, I have a very, very difficult time. People need to understand, man, this era of boxing is not a very strong era. And that hurts a lot of boxing fans' feelings. And I'm not saying the guys are terrible, or I'm not saying they suck, or like, I'm just saying, like, this is not a golden age of boxing. Like, boxing is not getting the lion's share of the best athletes in the world right now. It's not. Okay, and anybody who says otherwise is honestly full of shit. Okay, but I mean, would he have a chance against him? Sure. And when I say that, I don't mean like McGregor against Floyd chance. Okay, no, I mean like a legitimate chance. I would give him a chance, but James Toney, I think, does he even hit James Toney? I mean, I guess he would, but that would be an extremely tough fight for Gennady Golovkin. An extremely tough fight. But James Toney, an in shape James Toney at 160, his real weight, by the way. Okay, that fat motherfucker fighting a middle heavyweight, it was not the real James Toney. All right, that's a tough fight for Gennady Golovkin, man. I would favor Toney without a doubt. Bernard Hopkins, he would just frustrate the hell out of Gennady Golovkin for 12 rounds. I will say this: it'll probably be a very boring fight to watch, but I think Hopkins beats him like 11 rounds to 1. 10 rounds to 2. Just frustrates him the whole night. Plus, in the 90s, Hopkins, man, I mean, he was more ferocious, man. He was. They called him, like, the name the Executioner, right? I mean, it's not an accident. I mean, this dude was taking guys out, right? So I think he might even stop Gennady Golovkin late. It's possible, you know. All right, see, Raymond Turner. They say Kovalev is signed for June 17, waiting for Ward. Hey, here's what I say, man. Regardless of what my prediction is, my prediction ain't shit. Right? Whatever I say doesn't fucking matter. Right? Whatever anybody else says doesn't matter. It's if the fights that say June 17th, right? Isn't that when, like, supposedly Floyd wants to fight McGregor? By the way, I have no idea. Okay, but June 17th. Ward's got to fight him, man. Come on, like it's this whole I'm retiring, or like, you got to fight the dude, especially since the majority of the public thinks you lost, right? No matter how you feel about it, right? So you got to go out there and show them what's up, So that's what I think. Sign on the dotted line. Good assessment, and I appreciate it. I agree that Ward winning by a point and wins rematch. I think he wins a rematch too. I honestly think it's like 8 rounds to 4 in a rematch. That's what I think. I think Cole is going to have a tough time with him in a rematch. Mr. Doc, you're not wrong about Rigo, but I'm not sure he can change, though. I think it's a matter of style and train a certain way since he was a kid. It'd be like Tai Chi trying to fight Taekwondo style. Right, I get it, right? He's used to a certain style. I just think, look, maybe I don't know, the matchmakers, like, here's the fight. I always thought this would have been an unbelievable fight. But Guillermo Rigondeaux versus, oh, God, I lost his name. Santa Cruz. I think that would have been a phenomenal fight. That would have been, Rigo would have had to have thrown more than 12 fucking punches around. He would have had to. There's no other way around it. And I think we would have seen the best of Rigo. I really do. But it's just a matter of matchmaking. If you make the right fights, if you match them up well, I don't care what style it is, happen. right? So that's what I think. Hulk Hogan asked, "What's up, brother?" Chavez versus Duran, 135 Duran. 135 Duran. Come on, Duran. I'm a big fan of Chavez. I know I'm Mexican, but 135 Duran. Come on, right? Duran all day. Mr. Doc said Duran, in my opinion, too hard to hit clean, too many tools, and too good in the pocket. Brother, I agree. Duran's a beat 135, dude. I mean, that's come on, you know. That's fucking Roberto Duran. Come on. Um, not, I mean, styles make fights. You know, there's some fighters that surprisingly might be able to beat him, but you know, I don't think Chavez's style was just not that style, right? All right, people talking about Duran being an underrated boxer. Look, man, at lightweight, if Duran would have just had his whole career at lightweight, just imagine this happen. Duran, lightweight champion, has his title reign, moves up in weight, defeats Sugar Ray Leonard, calls it a day, retires, says he's done with boxing, he's never fighting again. People would be calling this dude the best of all time. Right? There's no other way around it. They would be calling him the best of all time. There'll be don't want to say it twice, but there would have been absolutely nothing of the sort of, no mass fight, right? The Hearns knockout wouldn't have happened. The loss to Hagler, which by the way, people didn't even, I mean, he put up a great fight against Hagler. I mean, this is insane. This was a career lightweight. That's crazy, right? I mean, it's almost like Manny Pacquiao going up to fight Gennady Golovkin, pretty much, right? I mean, if trying to think of their heights here, how tall is Gennady Golovkin? I don't know. Anyway, by the way, I just Duran, man, he moved up in weight and still made noise, man. Right, so you got to give it to him. Iran Barkley, right? Hulk Hogan, brother, defending Chavez. Okay, but Chavez had great head movement. He did. I'm glad he brought that up. Not just because I think Duran beats him at 135 doesn't mean I think Chavez sucked or something. Chavez was a great fighter, right? But I'm just saying, I mean, that's Duran at 135, dude, right? But I will say this: I'm glad you mentioned that because Chavez did have great head movement, right? He doesn't get credit for that. He doesn't. And one of the most frustrating documentaries I've ever seen, ever, not because the documentary was poorly produced or anything like that, but just because of the perception they put and stamped on Chavez, right? And I think HBO was trying to compliment him, but I think they did his boxing career a disservice in the process. So Larry Merchant, all right, and it was a documentary about Maldrick Taylor and Chavez Sr., right? Now, I haven't watched this documentary in years, so I'm definitely paraphrasing here, right? But I remember he said, oh yeah, Chavez. I mean, he's the type to take 2 or 3 to land 1, right? Which is the biggest made up horseshit I've ever heard in my life. And anyone who followed Cesar Chavez's career knows that is horseshit, right? Like it's this dude could fight off his back foot. I mean, he fought nothing like people think he fought the way his son fights. That's not the way Chavez Senior fought, right? They think they fought like when they talk about Chavez Senior. Like I always think to myself, are you guys talking about Chavez Junior? What are you talking about? Which Chavez are you talking about? Well, Chavez Senior was a beast in the ring, right? Just because I don't think he would beat Duran at 135, that doesn't mean I don't think that, right? Had great head movement, very good footwork. and it was a complete fighter in my opinion, right? Um, Mal Taylor, he was getting hit a lot because Mal Taylor has, in my opinion, probably the fastest hands I've ever seen in a boxing ring. Okay, hard not to get hit by that guy. Okay, but I don't know. I just didn't like the way Larry Merchant just kind of said that, and till this day, like people perceive that as the quote unquote Mexican style. I'll take two, land one. There is no Mexican boxing gym today or ever that teaches guys to take two to land one. Okay, that boxing gym does not exist. That is not a style that people learn. Okay, and that has to be said, and that's all I'm going to say about that. Okay, let's move on. Take two, land one. Like what does that even mean? How's your career gonna like what the Homer Simpson style? Just get hit a lot to the opponent gets tired. Like what? You're not gonna last like that. You're not gonna make it to the championship level getting hit twice. Like take two clean shots to land one. Like what? Anyway, uh, where was I? Lost my position here. Take two to land one. Man, Chavez said, but Duran's head movement was at another level, in my opinion. It was. Man, Duran was a beast, man. When people think Duran, like they just think to do that like welterweight and middleweight, and even when he moved up to fight Barkley, that's what they think. Like they, and now it was a good fighter, but like it's they're not like they don't think, oh my god, that guy's a beast. They think that's a great fighter. They don't think, oh my god, that dude's a fucking amazing, right? And at lightweight, Duran was just at another level, and I have a hard time outside of just some matchups, just because stylistically they could present problems to him. Outside of some matchups, I have a hard time. I think this guy's the best lightweight of all time overall, but sometimes some matchups come up. Great fight either way, brother. I agree. All right. Great drink. Shane Mosley versus Duran. Man. At 135. Mosley was a fucking beast at 135. That's a tough fight, but I'm gonna pick Duran. Right. I would put my money on Duran, but that's a tough fight. Right. Um, Mosley was no joke. Prime Shane Mosley at 135 was no joke. Right. It just wasn't. And that's another guy. People just when they think Shane Mosley, they think of the guy that moved up to fight like De La Hoya and then lost to Vernon Forrest and then lost to Winky Ride and then fought De La Hoya again, I think, or was it before that? Whatever. And then yeah, he fought De La Hoya and then he lost to Winky Ride, and then he fought people twice when he really shouldn't have, and then that beat Margarito, then lost to Floyd, then to Pacquiao. That's what they remember Mosley for. It's kind of that thing. But Mosley was a beast at 135, but I'll favor Duran. How do you feel about Lomachenko, and should he move up like Pac did? Since Lomachenko's taller than Pac-Man. That was by Saint Chunks 1982. Let me answer it this way. So I think guys should move up when their body says, hey, it's time to move up. That's when guys should move up, right? And if they're at an age where, and we're talking about guys that are at the tail end of their career, I've always believed that a fighter should try to do that one more weight class up to win another title, to just challenge themselves if there's no one else left to beat in their division, and that's the key thing. So right now, Lomachenko should move up when his body says, hey, you can't make this weight no more. It's time to move up. Right? By the way, speaking of boxing MMA, Lomachenko was actually sparring against former UFC, what is it, bantamweight champion? I forgot what it is, but TJ Dillashaw, I believe that's how you pronounce it. And Lomachenko was toying with this dude. I mean, holy shit. Now, in fairness, Dillashaw understood that he was just there to give him work and not anything serious. And he did praise Lomachenko, said spar him, and he was just at another level, and which is all true. Okay, but it was interesting watching Lomachenko just make Dillashaw look slow and sloppy and like he just didn't know how to box. That's how he made him look, right? Um, and while he's not a boxer, he is a mixed martial artist who these guys do have boxing coaches, I guess. But there you go. That's just a side note, But in fairness to Dillashaw, he wasn't trying to prove anything. He was offered to do some work with him, and there you go, right? He knew he wasn't there to give him a challenge, right? Now, to answer your question, should he move up like Pacquiao did? I think he will move up. I don't know if he'll move up that many weight classes. Keep in mind that Lomachenko stayed as an amateur for a while, won 2 gold medals, and had a long amateur career, while Pacquiao turned pro at a much younger age. Right, so Manny Pacquiao, okay, started in his mid-teens and moved up throughout his career. So that's why Lomachenko is not going to be able to move up that many weight classes because he's already outgrew a lot of that. But and a lot of the lower weight classes have a lot more weight classes, right? Separated by far less pounds. So Lomachenko is not going to do 7, whatever amount of weight classes, and he's not going to win that many titles because it just isn't possible for him. But I think Lomachenko will move up a couple weight classes, and I'm very high on Lomachenko. Just a side note, and this is being very serious about this, and I have the videos. I was talking about Lomachenko being a force to reckon with at the Olympics 2 Olympics ago, right? Not like you know um, when he won his first gold medal, you know, um, and then he stuck around, and I still praise. So I was high on Lomachenko before all these other new fanboys that are all high on his high horse right now. I was big on Lomachenko before any of these guys were, right? All right, what else? Duran was a beast, brother. I agree. Mr. Doc, but Duran didn't just beat title holders at 154 and 160. He beat the shit out of them. Oh, yeah, he did. Still didn't look as good as he did at 135, though. That's the only point I was trying to make. Right? I mean, he just, as good as he looked in those upper weight classes, he looked even better at 135. I mean, 135 Duran is virtually unstoppable, but all right, 154 and Barkley at 160 beat the career out of Davey Moore. Yeah. And the ref should have been banned. Moore's corner 2. Hulk Hogan put, how long do you think Lesnar and Goldberg will last, brother? I don't know why I'm doing the voice, but why not? All right. Under 5 minutes. I talked about that in my last video. They're not going to last long. Goldberg is 50 years old. He's not capable of putting on a good match. Right? He walks out to the ring, the dude's sweating. Like it's just, you could just see like big drops out of every fucking pore coming out of his head. It's insane, right? Grape Drank 666. Loma's the truth, and his CV is already solid, just within a few fights. CV. What's CV mean? Am I like, when they tell me what this means, I'm like, oh, but there you go. Well, what does CV mean? Good evening, DStyle. I'll be on the lookout for that CV. Good cyber Magnetic Slayer, good evening, D-Style. Can we get another Barrera rant? LOL. Well, don't mind me while I do. First of all, I don't have a problem with Marco Antonio Barrera. I mean, he can go to hell for all I care, but I don't have a problem with him. You know what? The crazy shit was they asked Morales. I always tell this story. I know people like that hurt is like, yeah, you say this story every time, D-Style. Every single time you tell this same fucking story, but I'm gonna say it again. Right? So they got me fucking started with Marco Antonio Barrera, okay? Look, there's never been a fight in a sport that I could just look at and he just fucking annoys the shit out of me, right? It just annoys me, this guy. But let me tell you the story. And you've heard it before, whatever. So it was when Marco Antonio Barrera was going to fight, I believe, Marquez. I could be wrong about the fight, but it was either the Marquez fight or the second Pacquiao fight, one or the other. And they were interviewing like the fighters, and then there was a portion where they were talking about when Barrera and Morales had all the attention, right? They had all the attention, and everybody was ignoring Marquez for a long time, right? And there's a lot of truth to that, but Marquez doesn't matter right now. Put him to the side, just like they did in the late '90s. Just throw Marquez to the side. All right, so back to Barrera Morales. So we're doing it to Marquez again. Poor guy. In all seriousness, so it's just funny because the interviewer asked Morales, or first Barrera, do you hold any grudge against him? And Barrera's like, no, not at all. I mean, I'm over it. It's water under the bridge, no big deal. And then that's Morales, and the tone was right, but he goes, I don't care. You can go fuck his mother for all I care. I don't care about him. Que chinga su madre. I remember the house we were cracking up, man. We're like, God, it's just not over it. Holy shit. Anyway, that's that. Okay. Eh, chinga su madre. Ya, a mí no me importa que él haga lo que él hace. But why? Because I always get this question. Why do you hate the guy? Now, first, if I'm serious, I don't hate anybody like that, really. But I'm not going to hate somebody over boxing like that. But boxing talk, I hate them, right? But I personally, I don't know. I don't like the way Barrera talked to Morales in the build-up to their first fight, even their second fight, but the first fight especially. And I just think there was a lot of racism involved there. So, and that's not cool, right? That's not cool at all, right? So, what else we got? Hulk Hogan brother, who's better? Whitaker Mayweather's at defense. Like just defense? Mayweather, right? I mean, if that's all we're gonna grade. Now, who's a better fighter overall? That's a tough one, right? Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, Whitaker's a defensive wizard too, but I will say this. I mean, Whitaker was a hell of a fighter, man. Whitaker's one of my favorite fighters ever, and I mean, he underrated. He was so good at defense that they underrated his offense. Whitaker. I mean, he made the box rec, 400 club. Something Floyd never did. So it's who's a better fighter overall? That's a tough discussion. A lot of people are not going to like this, but I favor Whitaker, right? But if we're just going to say just defense, I'll give it to Floyd. Why not? Oh, CV, resume. All right, I got you. Okay, fair enough. Ah, okay. I don't know Latin. Like, why are you guys giving me Latin terms? Okay. I don't know. Simplemente Barrera chinga su madre. There you go. All right. Who did I have winning, brother? GDG or Jacobs? Had Jacobs edging it out. Had Jacobs edging it out, but I don't know. I've only watched it once. I've only watched the fight one time. It wasn't even live. I watched it one time, and there was a lot of close rounds there, man. If somebody has Gennady Golovkin winning, I'm not gonna like rain on your parade or anything. I don't have a problem with the decision. But who do I think won? I think Jacobs won. Latin for body work. I got you. All right. How do you say piece of shit in Latin? So I could say that about Barrera. Morales was always fun to watch, says Grape Drank 666. He was. Of course he was. Come on. I mean, that's my favorite fighter ever. Of course he was fun to watch. Right? I mean, I'm probably the only guy that thinks he won all 3 fights against Barrera. Okay? Like, right? If I was a judge in that fight, Morales would have won all of them. Right? I don't know, man. Morales is a hell of a fighter, man. In his prime, holy shit, that dude. His tenacity. That's the one thing that sticks out. You know? Um, and he also had this fun stubbornness about him. And I think one of the best things he ever did, I hated it when he did it, but he went southpaw for a little in the 12th round in the Manny Pacquiao fight, the first one. I didn't get it. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? Are you crazy, man? Um, but after he was done, I love that he did it. Larry Merchant, this is another one of those stories I always tell, but Larry Merchant was interviewing Morales after that fight, and I guess Larry was trying to get something out of him, like, well, why'd you do that? Well, why'd you go southpaw? And Morales just simply answered, he didn't really answer the question, to be honest. He just asked him a question, and he said, "Did you like it?" And Larry Merchant said, "Yeah." And Morales basically just gave him a look, like, "Well, there you go." It's just like almost like it's none of your business why I did it. I do whatever the fuck I want. Well, there you go. But that was ATG stuff right there. It's going southpaw like that. It's kind of nostalgia makes you think he did it for the whole round. But when you go back, it was for a little bit. It wasn't a whole round. But people talk about it like he did it the whole round. But that's the romanticizing of boxing. Mr. Dog had Golovkin 6-5-1. Either guy could have rightly won. I agree. I mean, look, if I watch the fight again, for all I know, I might have Golovkin winning. I don't know. But there was some rounds there that I don't do even rounds. I just don't. Right? There has to be a winner. Okay, it's just the way it is, in my opinion, anyway. Like I could have an exception, like if there's a double knockdown or something, but it's very rare I score an even round. That's a choice of mine. But um, like Teddy Atlas will like score a fight, like half of the rounds are even. I'm like, what the fuck, Teddy? All right, like Friday Night Fights was insane. Like Teddy had even rounds like for everything, right? But anyway, that was that's a pet peeve of mine. But if I scored even rounds, man, a lot of those rounds would have been even, right? I mean, it was close. It was a close fight. The way Morales switched to southpaw in the 12th round against Pacquiao was epic. He was like, "Come on, knock me out." Yeah. I remember Lampley. You know what I hate about Lampley? Like it's Lampley, in my opinion, ruined that moment because was it Lampley? I forgot. I forgot who it was, but some things don't need to be said. I mean, point out what's happening, but don't say it. It's just this is my opinion, right? And he goes, Morales, go southpaw, almost as if to say, "You want a chance? Come on, knock me out." Like, dude, like we know, right? We know. Okay, like just say, "Oh my God, he went southpaw." Just say that. Just point out what he did, right? Almost as to say, let us think that. That's my opinion. Can you guys think of any memorable lines in a boxing fight? Memorable lines. I have a couple. One from George Foreman, but put them in the chat if you have any memorable lines. For Jim Lampley's Islamophobic rant, like towards the end of the Barrera versus Prince Nassim Ahmed fight, where George Foreman sounded like he was gonna knock the dude out or something. Which I forgot what Foreman told him. Like, you better cut that out. He didn't say that, but he just said something like, "You talking like that," or just something like that. I forgot what George. Does anybody remember what George Foreman said? I forgot what he said, but I just remember, "Oh, you believe in Allah? Where's Allah now?" Like, I'm just like, what the fuck, Lampley? What's the matter with this guy? Like, what? I mean, holy shit! I mean, he went on an anti-Allah like rant. This was insane. Was it like being at the Big Four show with Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, and Anthrax in India a few years back? I remember you posting the pic on Twitter. Yeah, those were fun times, man. Let me tell you something. A lot of hot chicks out there too. California, although there was girls from all over too, right? Girls from all over, man. And it's crazy because I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't think chicks were gonna go to a Metallica concert. Like I figured some, but I just thought it's a bunch of fucking. They have a saying in Mexican culture like "puro chile," like so. I was just gonna go, and I actually went with my brother and a friend, and was single at the time, and it was fun. It was very very fun. I'll just say that. I'll leave it at that. I don't remember a lot about the concert. I remember watching the bands, but I'm not a big fan of the field, man. I'd rather watch a band in a stadium or something. But the experience was great. The experience was great. I mean, I remember that the beer was fucking cheap too. I was kind of surprised. And the girls, what else we got? I forgot about that too. Like, holy shit! I think I still have like the videos, like of the mosh pits and all that shit on my old phone. Like when the Droid X first came out, I still have that. Later, brother, good video. Hogan's out. You watched that Logan movie? Not yet. I have not watched it yet. I have not watched it. I'm planning to, um, but we'll see. Um, Pacquiao had to use a catch weight to beat Morales during the second fight. Otherwise, he wouldn't have won. I don't know if it was a catch weight or was it a catch weight? I think it was an official weight, but they imposed it wasn't a catch weight. I don't think. I think I see where you're going with that, but I think just for accurate sakes, I think it was a penalty for every pound he went over. You could tell Morales wasn't the same though. I mean, he looked terrible in the fight before that. What was the dude's name? Man, the dude's name slipped me, but he looked terrible in that fight.
And then he fought Pacquiao again, and he looked good for maybe a couple rounds, and it wasn't the same anymore. I think the wars just caught up to him, you know. Come to think of it, I think his last great performance was that first Pacquiao fight. You have to pry my even rounds for my cold hands. I don't mind people scoring an even round here and there. Like you had one, that's fine. But have you seen Teddy Atlas score even rounds? I mean, that dude goes all out with even rounds. Okay, it's insane. Can anybody get it? What's up, Factoid? What's going on, man? Barrera versus Prince moment. I broke my back. Mike Tyson. Holy shit. I remember you know the best part was, this is the best part of that. I broke my back. And then Chip Grace like, you broke you broke your back? Like, what do you mean? Spinal. Like just in case you didn't know, it was spinal. Okay, like that's insane. Foreman was gonna beat his ass. I mean, I thought he was too, man. I thought Foreman was gonna beat his ass. Why didn't Lampley go on that rant? Like it was just insane. Hardest hitter ever, young world champion George Foreman. George Foreman was a fucking beast, man. Right? I mean, that dude. I mean, man, it's what he would do to those punching bags is unreal, right? Buddy McGirt used to have some intense discussion with his fighters in the corner. Him and Kevin Cunningham. Oh yeah, what's up, Factoid? Yeah, man, that I agree. And Buddy McGirt and Paulie, man, that worst trainer fighter combination ever. I mean, just insane. Um, Had a shot to go to that India show, being from Southern California. Couldn't make it in the end. You were like right around the corner there. You probably lived right next to the whole thing. You know, actually, when we went to India, now that I remember, we were, it was a long drive, man. It was like 13 hours. And we didn't even stop. We just stopped to put gas too, right? Um, and it was just straight drive. I remember like after Phoenix, there was this big crash and we're stuck in traffic. And then we finally made it. We got in the parking and then we're like, well, now it was about 6 hours before they opened the gates. Um, so probably not six, probably like half of that, 3 hours. And then we had to walk. There's like an Albertsons close to there. It was at the Albertsons was like a 10-minute walk. So we walked to Albertsons to buy beer, and then we're like tired as fuck. So and it's hot as fuck. So we're gonna buy water, right? Now this was a huge event. It was like at a polo field. So you had just tens of thousands of people, right? I could imagine it was at I don't know what the figure was, but it was a lot of people. And so we're walking, and they had beer, you know, but not a lot of selection. But they had no water. There was no like that whole aisle. I never seen it like that. It was just empty. I guess everybody from the concert just took all the water. Like the only water left was Voss water. That's it. And anyone who's ever seen Voss water knows why, because it's expensive as shit. Like, and I don't know if they jacked up the price or what, but like a 24-ounce like bottle for like $9. Like beer, you know. But I actually bought it. It was actually pretty good though. I remember reading the label like, "Oh yeah, water from Norway." Like, yeah, sure it is. Okay. Now I remember telling my brother like, "Dad, this water's fucking good." Like, no wonder Voss water's so expensive. And my brother's like, "That's because you're fucking rehydrated. Because you haven't drank water in half a fucking day." Oh man, great memories. Great memories. Howard Cosell trolling Ken Norton when they did the Foreman versus Lyle fight. Where's the foreman that knocked you out in 2 rounds, Kenny? Wow. Did he do that? I don't even know that. You learn something new every day. That's kind of fucked up. All right. Man, I thought Howard Cosell was a cool guy. Lennox is not a conqueror. No, I'm Alexander. I want to eat his children. All praise be to Allah. Like, man, we need a Tyson, man. Like, we need a dude that just goes all out like that, just puts it all. Like, doesn't give a shit. Like, doesn't care what people are going to say. Just says whatever comes to his mind. We need that. We need that in boxing. Just be yourself, but just fucking enough of this. Oh, I gotta talk to my promoter. Like, nobody talks like that. Like, that's like, what are you gonna do? I just want to thank God, and then I want to. They're thanking Al Heyman, then God now. Like, I want to thank Al Heyman and God. Like, it's insane. Okay, I want to thank my promoter, Bob Aram. Like, shut up. Talk some shit or something. Come on. Spino. All right. It's when Chris Eubank Sr. jumped the top rope, entering the ring to the rematch with Nigel Benn. The eagle has landed. Speaking of dudes jumping into the ring, you guys remember Roger Mayweather? Roger, when Judah hit Floyd Lowe, Roger just it's like he got in the ring quick, but calmly at the same time, if that makes sense. And he just stuck his hands out like, what? I remember Floyd against the ropes like, what are you doing? I don't know. That shit's crazy, man. You can't script shit like that. You just can't. That shit's crazy. Paulie never listened to Buddy. You're right. He didn't. He blamed Buddy for everything, right? I mean, that's the thing about Paulie, man. Like, Paulie swears, like, I would have beaten him. I would have beaten Ricky Hatton. If Ricky Hatton fight would have been an easy fight, but Buddy McGirt gave me all the wrong instructions. Like, shut up. You would have beaten Ricky Hatton. Sit down, right? The inflammable Joe Goose sent to Diego Corrales after he spit the mouthpiece the second time. Total deadpan. Well, you better stop him now. Yeah, he said I saw comment too, right? Hey, better stop him now. Like, that dude just got knocked out twice, man. He's like spitting out the mouthpiece, a total mess in the ring. You better stop him. You better stop him. You're gonna lose. What are you gonna do? Burger King burger. Yeah, $9. $9. 20 ounce for $9. They jacked that price up too. I know they did. Burger King, James Tony. WBC, we be crooks. WBO, we don't count that. England fighters, y'all bums. Roger versus Judah. Corner, rolling my ass off. James Tony would have whooped Ben and Eubank. Yeah. Tough. Punch Luduva. Was it? I'm trying to think. I don't know. I honestly don't know. What about commentators? Like, I remember this is, I'm going to give you guys my favorite line of a boxing commentator of all time. I'm going to lay it down right now. So I've said this one before, right? But and he's not even my favorite commentator. In fact, I don't even think he was a good commentator. But it's just, this line was epic, right? And I don't know if it's my favorite, but it's the one that's sticking out now. But it was, I forgot what round it was. It was at least over the half of the fight. And Jim Lamley, being typical stupid Jim Lamley, halfway through the Morales versus Barrera rematch, they were having a phenomenal fight. But Jim Lampley's like, great fight. I mean, doesn't compare to the first fight, but great fight. Shut up. Tell somebody to shut his ass up, right? Fucking giving you their heart and soul and shit in the middle of the ring and their blood, and you're complaining that it's not as exciting or whatever than the first fight. Shut up. But anyway, I don't know. Lampley's just like, it's crazy. They're not as going at it as much or whatever that means, right? They were boxing a little smarter. They were, but anyway, George Foreman said, right? He goes, as far as to the question, why aren't they going at it as hard? And he said, I'm trying to remember the exact, I'm going to paraphrase, but he said, now they're millionaires. That's when they were fools. I love that line, right? And because it's kind of true. These guys became multi-millionaires after that first fight. And there you go. How a guy fights when he's trying to make the big time and how he fights when he's already in the big time is two different things. It's two different things. And that's one of the few things George Foreman ever did. And also trying to beat up Jim Lampley for that Islamophobic rant fight. Steve Weisfield giving an unofficial score to Lampley. James Kirkland is taking damage because he comes to in wide open, and Glenn Tapia is taking damage because he's fighting James Kirkland. All right, that's good. That's good. I like that. Oh man, you know what? One of the worst lines I've ever heard. Like I remember people saying that this was an awesome line, but was it? I remember, like towards the end of his run, Larry Merchant was just trying too hard. Okay? It was way too hard. And I remember in the middle of the De La Hoya versus Mayweather fight, he said, Floyd Mayweather is turning Cinco de Mayo to Mayweather. Really? And people, oh, that was clever. Because May, it was a month of May, and it's Mayweather. Like, really? Like, that was a sucky line, man. That line sucked, right? What else we got? I remember, does anybody remember Roy Jones, like, going at it with, speaking of Larry Merchant? And, because Roy's the expert in the commentating booth, right? I mean, that's why they have him there. And there is just like a color commentator. So anyway, it was actually the first. I don't know what it is about these Eric Morales fights and Pacquiao fights that have these great lines and Barrera fights, but I remember Roy Jones was. I forgot what he was saying exactly, but he was saying something like along the lines of Morales has control over Pacquiao right now. He's in his head and this, that, something like that. And then Larry Merchant tried to like overrule what Roy Jones just said, right? And he's like, oh, no, I don't think he's in his head. Do you really believe that, Roy? Or just something like that. And I remember Roy's just like, well, I've been in the ring. I don't know. Have you been in the ring? You've never been in the ring. I've been in the ring. And, like Roy Jones would talk fast. I mean, that dude talked as fast as he could punch, too. He just talking fast. And then all Merchant could say is like, well, okay, Roy, you don't have to pull rank. Well, I kind of had to on your ass, but there you go. I found that little exchange they had a little bit funny. Are you waiting for Mayweather versus Merchant? Remember that shit? If I was 80 years younger, 50, how many years was it? Like, that guy, shut up. Well, I was 50 years younger. I'll whoop your ass. Like, get the fuck out of here. Get that dude out of here. I'll never forget, though, when Larry Merchant said, a lot of people didn't catch this, but um, when Larry Merchant said that, what's the dude's name? Floyd's right hand man, and what's his name? His not Al Heyman, but his other advisor, or whatever. I mean, some of the comments here. Leonard Allerby, yes, him. Right? Like, I just the way he said it, he's like, "You would have done nothing. You would have done nothing." Somebody tell him to move, to walk away too. Like, get the fuck out of here. All right. It's just after making Tyson, after Mike Tyson ruthlessly knocks out Chubby Tony Tubbs, Larry Merchant says, "If you thought whale hunting was illegal in Japan, well, Mike Tyson never heard about it." Holy shit. When they were old men, Joe Frazier, Ali, you say you were going to kiss my feet if I beat you. What's up with that? Ali, I lied. I wish I was 50 years younger. I'd kick your ass. Oh, man. Man, whenever you have to say, I wish I was, like, think about that. If you have to say, I wish I was 50 years younger, you're old. Because let's say your prime is like 25, right? I mean, you're over 75 years old. I mean, if you have to say, I wish I was 50, like, think about that. Like, I don't think, how many people watching this video would have been over 20 years old 50 years ago? Probably none of you, right? I mean, you're an old motherfucker. If you got to say, I wish I was 50 years younger, you're an old dude, man. Grape drink. Yeah, Ellerby, yep. That's the dude, man. Ellerby's that dude. Well, what other questions we got out there? Again, this dude, man, Jim Lampley. You guys have any moments of Jim Lampley crying? Motherfucker crying all the time. Oh, that dude. I never seen such a sentimental commentator in my fucking life. Everything makes this guy cry. Everything. It's fucking disgusting. Okay, I remember this dude. You guys should, like, man, I have a hard time pronouncing some of these names, man. So I don't want to butcher any names here, but does everybody remember that fight in New York, that heavyweight fight where the dude got like brain damage or whatnot? And they were giving Jim Lampley was giving an update about that dude's condition, right? If anybody wants to write down the names, I could just say it, but and so Jim Lampley, like, he just, oh yeah, he's in critical condition, like nothing, like it's just like no big deal, like just doing his job, right? There's a dude fighting for his life in the hospital bed, like Jim Lampley, no care in the world, don't give a shit, right? And then I can't get over this. All right, he starts talking about a dude in the truck, right? A member of the HBO crew that was retiring, right? Which I don't have a problem. Hey, shout out to Joe Schmo who's retiring. He was, he contributed a lot to HBO, and hey, I don't have a problem with that. Okay, but the show that Jim Lampley put on live fucking television because a dude in the truck is retiring. after he just briefed through a dude fighting for his life in the hospital bed, by the way. I want to thank our good friend and pal and companion, and this, like, his lips trembling and his glasses shaking and his hands are shaking and tears are starting to swell up, like his eyes, swelling up and tears starting to drop, and he's just like talking about this guy that's retiring from HBO, this motherfucker that nobody gives a shit about. Okay, sorry, no, I'm sure he's a great guy, and he's married and he's retired. Good for him. Like I said, give him a shout out, but holy shit, nobody cares like that. Like, what the fuck? And Jim Lamley, he's just going all out, like, oh, he's retired. And then HBO has to show the side screen where his friend from the truck is crying, okay, in the fucking corner, like wiping the tears from his eyes. Like, it's just like, what the fuck are we watching? This is a boxing broadcast, dude. Are you kidding me? Like, they don't get emotional like this in Oprah Winfrey. Like, what the fuck is this? Kidding me? Like, they don't get emotional like this on The View. Like, what is this? Man, I remember Labby crying the 12th round of Pac versus Margarito. Was he crying for real? I'll never forget Jim Lamley. He goes, I was talking to George Foreman, and he always starts like so like calm too, like he's in control. I was talking to George Foreman before the Moore fight, and George told me, George Foreman told me that he was going to set him up, and when the moment was right, he was going to knock him out. Wow. Like, shut up. Like, what the fuck? Like, can you shut up? Like, really? That makes you emotional? That George Foreman said he was going to set him up and knock him out? And that makes you emotional. That makes you sentimental. You start crying because of that. That's stupid. I agree. Now, Abney's a clown. HBO to fire his ass. Castell's in the alley versus Ernie Terrell stare down. This is going to be a long night. Cassell was good with those subtle things, man. He was good with those subtle things. He wasn't like that obvious shit, right? Like Jim Lampley, like, it's almost like he's saying, knock me out, folks. Look, it's almost like he's saying it. Like, shut up. Man, holy shit. I can't believe like HBO values this guy. Before the Mosley versus Vargas fight, you know how they did the countdowns? Yeah, they did those countdowns, which I missed, by the way. Those shows were awesome, right? They needed to bring back the countdowns. But anyway, they had Mosley versus Vargas countdown, and I remember, Jim Lamley talking about Vargas and his struggles growing up. He was from the ghetto. Like, oh my god, this guy, holy shit. He's gonna start crying. He's gonna start crying because Vargas was poor when he was little, and now he's not poor. You can't make this shit up. He's just like, he starts crying. Like, are you shitting me? Oh man. He used to be poor, now he's not. Like, shut up. I missed some questions here. Let me backtrack a little bit. My favorite Metallica concert album. I'm sorry. Oh man, it's a tough one. If you forced me to pick, Ride the Lightning. If you forced me to pick, um, Master of Puppets, close second. Right. So there you go. How would Joe Frazier do today as a cruiserweight? Oh. Against this crew, man. Frazier would destroy these dudes. Come on. He would destroy these dudes. Well, no question. Um, destroy them. Like, could you imagine? Like, I think it's an easy routing for Frazier. How many ounces will the gloves in the McGregor Mayweather fight be? NYC Durrani. If it's a sanctioned boxing fight, then it can't be no less than 8 ounces. So, if that answers your question, but if you do 10 or 8, it's not going to matter. It's not going to make a difference at all. I will say this though. That's more ounces in the wrist, and McGregor's hands are not going to be as fast. I can tell you that much right now. Lamp is a clown. Yeah, yeah. Don't brag about my side piece, man. That promotion for Paulie versus Adrian Broner, man, did that have some promotion? Paulie can talk shit, man. I mean, I'll never forget because what did Broner say? He said, "I'm gonna drop you like a rock," or just something like that, right? And Paulie's like, "What does that mean? Drop me like a rock? Well, why not a tile or just something like that?" Or, well, oh no, he said, "I'm gonna drop you like a floor tile," right? And Paulie went on a rant like about like why not a rock or a comb or the ground or like I don't know, it's just stupid. But I'll never forget when Paulie's like, well, now you're going to move up your weight. You're going to fight a real man. You're going to come to a real weight class. You're going to fight a real man. Like, I just like, shut up, dude. Like, the reason I was just like, come on. They're fucking welterweights. Like, what do you mean come up to the real weight? Like, there's only one division that could literally say that, right? Like, come up and fight the big boys. There's only one division that could say that. Every other division has another division above them except one. Okay. I don't know. That was just a thing I noticed. Um, I remember Broner when he won the fight too. Like, well, I won. I took his girl, and then Paulie, like, he like, I think it hurt him a little bit. I don't know if it did or didn't. I don't know, but I think it did. Um, I think it was a little more than just a side piece. Something tells me, I don't know why, but just because of how irritated he was getting, you know, especially like he got irritated in that post fight. So there you go. And he was just sour. Like I remember when Broner lost against Maidana, I mean Paulie just relished in that defeat of Broner. He really did. If you saw the post fight, he just relished in that shit. I'm good. I beat Paulie. I took his belt and his girl. That's what he said. Uh, Chief Funky 84, what's up? What up? What up? What are the questions you guys got? What are the questions you got? I'm just going to wrap this up. I actually got a good turnout tonight. I'm kind of surprised. I was expecting to have like 5 questions max. It's like a last second thing. I'll bring the girl out of Ashley Theophane like Bruce Jenner. The funny thing is that Adrian and Ashley can both be male or female names, right? I mean, who's the best fighter that had a name that could be a female's name of all time? I mean, you got Callie Pavlik, got Adrian Broner, you got Ashley Theophane. You have some others out there. You guys think of them? You have Carmen. I've never met a dude called Carmen, but I know of Carmen Basilio. I mean, I don't know if that was like a dude's name or a common dude's name anyway back in the day or not, but I mean, you got to be tough if you have a girl's name, right? I mean, no wonder they become boxers. They're like fighting dudes in the yard all the time, the schoolyard. Oh man, I don't know if you guys remember this, but Paulie Adrian Broner was like he was feminizing Paulie's name, right? He was like Paulietta. I forgot what Paulietta or whatever he was calling him. And Paulie goes, "Well, you have to feminize my name. I don't even have to feminize yours. Like your mother knew you were a bitch the day you were born." Oh, man. Tyrese Corbin Stoney. Remember he got knocked out by didn't he get knocked out by like Roy Jones' trainer or something like that? You're doing a terrible job, Johnny. Only reason to watch John Ruiz fight. You know what? This is gonna shock a lot of people. It is. I I actually enjoyed the John Ruiz versus Evander Holyfield fights. Oddly enough, I don't know if I'm the only one, but I actually enjoyed the fights. It was like weird. Like it was like I actually thoroughly enjoyed them. Like I wanted to see the fourth fight. Or like one, the other one, the other. There was a draw. Let's just, hey, fuck it, let's do a fourth one. I was all for it. I really was. I think I was the only dude on the planet that enjoyed those fights, but I was all for it. You know, I enjoyed the fights. Am I the only one that enjoyed those fights? Like I enjoyed Evander Holyfield versus John Ruiz. I think I'm the only dude on the planet. I think I am. Wow. Um, like I remember like that. I was excited for the rubber match. Like it was insane. Like you think Francis Emily could pose a challenge to Chance Crawford? I haven't seen Francis fight that much to be honest, so I couldn't say. I couldn't tell you to be honest. Um, which fucking jerk off Norman Stone to the referee. That dude, man. Holy shit. The problem is those are Ruiz's only good fights. Yeah, but like, weren't they like in? They were passable, right? Like, is it just me? Like, I kind of enjoyed them. Like for some reason, they just made for good fights. I don't know why. They were just a good matchup. Like they were close or competitive. Like it's, I don't know. And I enjoyed the fights. I wanted to see the fourth one. I think I'm the only one on the planet that want to see the fourth one. But well, I'm glad I'm not the only one that thinks that was a good trilogy. you know, those fights. It was insane. I don't know. I'll say this: I watched those fights solo. Like I couldn't find anybody watching with me, but I watched it by myself. But yeah, there you go. Like you're not gonna do a fight party with John Ruiz. Like like hey, I'm doing a fight party. Who's fighting? John Ruiz versus. Hey, watch hang up. Could you imagine inviting somebody to John Ruiz fight party? Like what? I don't do sleepovers anymore, dude. I went too old for sleepovers. I'm gonna fall asleep in the couch and shit. Like Ruiz, come out all groggy, like fuck. But for some reason, Holyfield's style just meshed up well with him. That's all I'm saying. Is Scott Hall the best pro wrestler to never be the main man? No. I think Roddy Piper's that guy. Second. If you mean like they never won the world title, or wasn't like the main attraction, or was never in the main event, you mean, or because I guess Piper was in the first main event of WrestleMania, but he wasn't the headliner. It was more Hogan. But I think Piper is the greatest professional wrestler that never won a world title. But I think Scott Hall and Piper, they had the same mentality. That they had the same. Those guys, they didn't really care about the world title. Like it's like everybody joins the wrestling business with goal is to make money. That's the whole point, right? That's the whole point. So Piper knew that there was money in him being the asshole and the bad guy, the heel, whatever you want to call it, over the dude with the strap. I mean, that's he knew there was money in that and longevity in that, and he was an attraction in himself. He did not need the world title. In fact, to be honest with you, Hogan didn't need the title. But Hogan played politics and he kept the title around his waist. So Scott Hall, same thing. Scott Hall did not care about. Scott Hall went. He played a character of Razor Ramon or Scott Hall, and then he went home and he was just a regular dude. Didn't care about whether he won a match or lost a match. In fact, I remember stories Scott Hall told. He spent most of his career being a jobber. That's what he did until he went to WWE and he got that. He impressed Vince with a imitated the guy from Scarface, man, Al Pacino. But what's the name of the character? Tony Montana, right? He impressed Vince, and Vince came up with this idea of Razor Ramon. And but yeah, Scott Hall spent his almost whole career just being a jobber, making money that way. And when he would go to bars, and guys would be like, "Yo, you're the guy that got beat up by X," right? This was in the '80s, where some people still kind of knew it was fake, but but some didn't for some reason. And he would still put over the guy he put over, right? And he would just tell him, you know, Scott Hall would tell them, "Yeah, he beat my ass, and I could beat your ass. Imagine what he would do to you." Right? That was just his job. And Piper was the same way. And both guys made a lot of money, so we can't say that they did anything wrong. Scott Hall, highest paid job guy in the business. Yep. But I will say this though, even though he never pursued that and never um, Scott Hall he never cared about being in the main event or he just didn't care about all that. It's some guys do, some guys don't. But there's some guys that are just obsessed with that, like Bret Hart, HBK. They were just obsessed with being the top guy. And some guys that's the thing, that's what they want to go for. But Scott Hall did not give a shit. He was making a lot of money. He made millions. He didn't give a shit. He was making more money than 90% of the dudes. Grape Drank 666 writes, how does the WWE work? Do the wrestlers have the ability to take control of their own career, or do they have to follow the script set for them? So it's a mix of both, actually. So most of it is they're following a script. That's most of it. But the direction you go, it just depends whether or not you can get over, which is a term in wrestling. And by that means winning over the crowd. If people want to see you, they're going to book you. They're going to give you matches. If you put butts on seats, you're going to get paid. So there's what the storylines are, and it's what you get paid, right? I mean, that's as long as you're getting paid. I mean, do you really care if you're losing or whatnot, right? But does winning matter to a certain degree for your character to be believable? So it's like a mixture of both, and there's been times where it's like a complicated thing. So like if there's been times where the company wants to go one direction, the fans don't like that direction, and they force the company to put another guy over. So the most recent example where this actually happened that I could think of was right before WrestleMania 30. The WWE had Batista win the Royal Rumble. He was going to main event WrestleMania against Randy Orton, but the fans wanted Daniel Bryan. They were chanting Daniel Bryan throughout every show, and it got to the point where the fans were booing Batista and Randy Orton every time they were in the ring, every segment. So they had no choice but to put Daniel Bryan in the main event and even have him win the World Championship. So it's just a matter of winning the crowd. If you win the crowd, they can't hold you back. Kind of like the gladiator days, Only you're not trying to win your freedom, you're just trying to get over. Right? And how do you get over? I mean, you just do stuff. If you become must see TV, then they can't deny you. It's just the way it is. Take risk. For those that don't know, Stone Cold actually took Stone Cold. Right? I mean, he was told not to do things, and he do it. And Vince had no choice but to put up with it because he was bringing in a lot of money. He was bringing in the crowds. He was selling merchandise. I mean, it's what are you gonna do? Bret Hart in their match at WrestleMania 13, Stone Cold actually cut himself. He bladed. At that time, Vince did not want blood on the shows. Okay, he just didn't. But Stone Cold, he bladed himself, and then he cut your forehead with a blade so you can bleed. And you sell that because when you cut it initially, you can't see the blood, and when you make an impact with something, then it gushes out. That's how the blood is. It's not fake blood. They cut it that way. And then of course you have the infamous double turn where Bret Hart put him in the sharpshooter, and there you go. Vince was very upset about that, but the iconic moment of WrestleMania and the talked about moment of everything, and it brought so much attention to a much needed wrestling company that was getting his ass handed to by WCW. What was Vince going to do? Also, the Stone Cold 316 line was not scripted, and this was done. Think about this. I mean, think about the percentage of people in the U.S. that are Christian, and think of how many more there was in the late 90s, or like late 90s. Stone Cold he had just defeated Jake the Snake to win the King of the Ring, and a lot of people don't know this, but that was not scripted. Stone Cold was just supposed to give yeah, I won, and just a speech like that. But he at the time, Jake the Snake had like a religious character who was talking about winning, through the grace of God and prayer, winning the King of the Ring. And I mean, Stone Cold he just put that infamous promo of all time. A lot of Christians didn't like it, but hey, it was pushing the envelope. And he said something about, you're talking about your 316s, and Austin 316 says, I just whooped your ass, or whipped your ass, and talking about him thumping his Bible, and you just don't got it no more, and get the hell out of my ring. It's just something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but epic promo, epic. And that wasn't scripted. I'm sure Vince was livid in the back when that happened, but it made Stone Cold a big star. What was he going to do? Fire him and have him go to WCW or what? Fuck no, right? Guys don't do that right now in wrestling. They just don't. They don't. They're too scared to take risks right now. They just are. there used to be more free reign in the ring. They'd be told to finish an amount of time, but the rest was mostly left to them. Nowadays, it's overbooked, in my opinion. I agree. Way too overbooked. Have you, like, I remember Bret Hart was talking about, man, these guys are reciting the Gettysburg Address, like in the middle of the ring. Um, like, man, you could hear them. Go to Jericho. Like they give each other instructions while they're in the middle of the ring. Like, what the fuck are you doing? Are you kidding me? Anyway, who do you think is the best wrestler right now in the business? Oh, AJ Styles. AJ Styles is the best wrestler in the business right now, bar none that I've seen. I'm gonna be 100% honest. I don't watch. I don't like. I just don't got time. I don't have time to watch like Lucha Underground and Ring of Honor and NXT. So there might be somebody better out there, but in the WWE, AJ Styles, but without a doubt. Basically, wrestling was a lot more enjoyable back then. It was. It was. The only wrestler I can remember now is Carlito. The dude spit apples at people's faces. I I actually stopped watching wrestling around that time, so I didn't really get to know Carlito. I started watching it again, like around the time The Rock came back. I guess I marked out and I started watching again. Monday Night Wars era. Yeah. Rey Mysterio was incredible when he was in WCW. You know, Mr. Dog, if you like Rey Mysterio in WCW, I know you don't watch the product anymore, but and if you don't watch WrestleMania, that's very understandable. It's a very underwhelming card, but you'll probably save yourself. You could do something better for 4 hours of your life. But anyone who's not watching wrestling right now, if you love the cruiserweights of the '90s in WCW, which was just unbelievable. I mean, Rey Mysterio, Dean Malenko, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Jericho, Chris Benoit for a little bit, and just all the Psychosis and Ultimo Dragon. I mean, it's just this unbelievable talent that they had in the cruiserweight division. Um, if you were a fan of that, after WrestleMania, look up on probably here on YouTube, wherever. Look up Austin Aries versus Neville. That's going to happen at WrestleMania. And I'm not just, if they let them go, that's the key thing. And I hope they do. If they let them go, and it's going to be saying a lot, that match will surpass any cruiserweight match you've ever seen. If they let them go. But even if they don't let them go that much, it'll probably still be a very good match and worth watching, in my opinion. 619 for the win. Rey Mysterio Jr. One of my favorite wrestlers of all time, man. I met Rey one time. Made me feel very tall. Man, Rey Mysterio makes you feel tall, man. I don't care. Like, man, I feel like a giant. I'm not even. I'm like 5'10". But anyway, all right. In WCW, Piper won the world title twice from Hogan. Did he? I don't think he did actually. I think Hogan lost it to Luger, to Sting, and Goldberg. Maybe somebody else I'm missing, but I think that's it. I could be wrong. I don't know. Cybernetic Slayer. I was there when Rock came back in 2001 in Anaheim. It was a great time. Did he come back in Anaheim? Damn. The Rock's just entertainment value. It's awesome, man. Awesome. The best, probably the best in the mic ever. The Rock. He's up there. La, the doc is talking about La Parca, the chairman of WCW. Man, La Parca was actually pretty fun to watch. Ever from TNA, he was excellent. Yep. You met Ray. Yeah, Ray's a cool dude, man. He is. Most of these wrestlers are cool dudes, actually. You know. Shout out to Eddie Guerrero. I never met him, um, but I watched him live once. I watched him live, well, actually twice. He's actually from El Paso, Texas. Actually from El Paso, Texas. He still has family living here, actually. Um, but yeah, Eddie started his career here, man. I didn't watch him growing up, but a lot of lucha libre here, and Eddie was there. That's where he started. You guys have any political questions? Politics? I mean, Donald Trump was in WrestleMania. He was in wrestling at one point. And politics is kind of like wrestling, so hey. I've met Shawn Michaels too, by the way, and he's not 6'1". He's not. He's a little taller than me, but not that much taller. Any questions here? Yeah, Sean is not 6'1". Whenever like these dudes, man, their height is so over exaggerated. Oh yeah, he's 6'1". Like this says who? Like what? The reason Sean is booked at 6'1" is because I mean back in the day, being under 6 feet tall just was not acceptable, right? So they would lie. If a dude was 5'11", 5'10", they were 6 feet tall, 6'1". You know. Boxing fan 925. Do you think 9/11 was an inside job? I think 9/11 is very, very complicated, right? Um, so let me say this: do I believe that George Bush and Cheney and them sat in a round table and conspired, right? This whole thing, and then hired people, and then hired people upon people, and then they hired people to plant bombs, and then just make this whole thing happen. Do I believe that's how it happened? No, right? But do I believe they knew it was going to happen? Yes, right. Um, and you know, there's just it's complicated. You know, it's what is this? Before the biker gang angle, etc., there was a Bully Ray versus H Style Vast Man Sandy match. I think was an underrated match. Bully Ray actually showed me a lot, man, in TNA. He never really impressed me in WWE, and then he went to TNA. He did impress me. As far as 9/11, it's. Let me put it this way, man. A lot of the hijackers they said died, and that were there and that hijacked the plane were later discovered to be alive. So there's something going on. You know, there's a lot that wasn't told to the public. You know, a lot. And of course, you know, the Saudis being flown out was very suspicious, especially Bin Laden's family. So it's. I think they planted seeds for it to happen. I'll say that. And it was to start two wars. That's you know that's what I believe. And they started the wars, and they started the wars for a reason. And if you do your research, you'll find that um, whenever we invade a country for some strange reason, um, the drug that is grown the most in that country just happens to just miraculously end up in our streets. I agree. There's a lot of fishy shits around the 9/11, no doubt, right? What I just think, you know, it's of course fishy shit happened. I just feel like it's more complicated than the Alex Joneses of the world kind of present to people, right? I mean, they're focusing on irrelevant shit, you know, like it's this idea that they plotted it like that just seems comical, you know. It's and that level of government and that level of control. I mean, you're able to manipulate people to such degrees that I mean, a lot of these jihadists and a lot of these extremists around the world, the more back you go, the more you realize who planted the seeds for these people to be radicalized. And we're talking about powerful governments that know how people are. People are more predictable than we like to admit, right? It's if this makes sense, I don't know if it will or not, right? Maybe somebody like Mr. Doc could say it a little better. But I will say this: an individual could be very unpredictable, but a large group of people can be very predictable, right? So it's kind of strange how that works. Like it's easier to figure out what a large crowd is going to do than what one individual is going to do. It's as strange as that seems. And and when you're talking about countries and these made up lines that the West has created in the Middle East, um, let me just put it this way: do I believe that the CIA went around talking to people and signed them up to be part of a terrorist group? No. But do I believe that they did certain moves to make sure that there was an atmosphere in which people became radicalized? Yes. And so when we left Iraq, for example, it's they knew what was going to happen in the region. Like they maybe not to the T, but they had a general idea of what was going to happen with the type of Muslims that are there, and the way they kind of feud with one another, and it's they knew when ISIS was going to spawn out of that. They knew that, right? And it all feeds into our military industrial complex. There's a lot of money in military spending. This current administration just raised it by 54 billion, and they're cutting on other shit for that. But it's all defense contractors and to build weapons. And we have tanks in the desert of Arizona doing nothing, right? So if anyone, and I mean anyone, who believes that we have to increase defense spending by 54 billion to fight terrorists, right? Anybody who believes that is stupid, or just, if not stupid, very naive about how shit works. Mr. Doc, what's your take on pain clinics pushing methadone, aka synthetic heroin? Are they? Wow. So like they're fighting vigorously against marijuana being legalized, but like that's no problem, right? Um, yeah, it's I mean the pharmaceutical companies just want to get people addicted to drugs, right? And this is one of those situations that are it's very nuanced. It's a very nuanced. So I don't like telling people, don't take any medicine. They're all bad for you because sometimes medicine could save your life. It would keep it real. But unless you're like old and very elderly and or something like that, if you're constantly like on pills, like that's not a good thing. Like it just isn't. It's a very small percentage of people that probably have to depend on that or whatnot, but it's the amount of people that are under 30 and under 40 and 50 that are just they have pills in their medicine cabinet that are being subscribed to them by doctors is insane, right? I mean, yes, sometimes you need antibiotics for something, or you got a cut, you got an infection, or you got an infection in your liver. There's a lot of people that drink a lot and or get fatty liver or something like that, and they got to take antibiotics. But at some point, you can get off of that. So whether it's this, right, synthetic heroin or any other type of drug, I have an issue with people constantly being on pills. I have an issue with that. There's something inherently not right with that. You know. Let's see. Mr. Doc says, yes, sociology is more predictable and better understood by science than individual psychology. Very well put. I told you guys Mr. Doc would have put it better. There you go. That's all I had to say. I went on a 5-minute rant, and that's all I had to say. I'm sure the poppy fields in the Middle East are totally unrelated, right? Totally. You know what's funny is that people are like, "Well, I know soldiers that are over there, and they tell me that they don't bring the drugs." Like you guys, like, you really think they're gonna order the soldiers like, "Soldiers, get the drugs, put them in the van or in the Humvee, drive them to the plane, put them on there." Like, you really think they're gonna do that? That's not the way it works. Okay, what? That's not the way it works. It's more sophisticated than that, right? It's more sophisticated than that. If you like, for example, now I don't know. I've never been a soldier, but do soldiers, if they have soldiers moving shit, do they really know everything that's inside? I don't know. Okay, I mean, I've never served in the military, so I wouldn't know. Okay, but I know this, not military, but to give an example of customs. Okay, they should order soldiers to guard the poppy fields. Why not just burn them, right? And you gotta guard them, because that might be addicting, and it lures the terrorists there, and then you can catch them. You know, I don't know. Like, I don't know why they don't do it, but yeah, that's funny. But to give you an example, this is not the soldiers, but let me give you an example of customs, right? I know somebody that works customs, pretty high official, and it's funny what they tell them. And I remember I had this conversation with them, right? And I remember when I put it to him this way, he was like, "Oh, right." So he would tell me, like, I would tell him, like, "Man, if so, you guys have like dogs that can, like, I know what these dogs can smell, man. Like, it's how can the border of Juarez and El Paso? I mean, the drug cartels have almost 200 million a day worth of drugs crossing over. How the fuck does that happen, right? I mean, obviously there's tunnels and stuff, but what about like in the bridge? And why don't they? I know where two of these tunnels are. Like, tell me the fucking government can't find out, okay? But anyway, um, if if they wanted to stop it, they could, right? And I remember, like, he had an explanation for everything. So it's like, well, why don't you stop the tunnels? Wow, because the tunnels, they're in this ordinance and customs. We're more like at the border. Like, there's always like some explanation. I'm like, okay, fine. What about the border, right? Because they're going to cross them there too. And then I remember he admitted that they would let certain vehicles through without inspection, even if the dogs were smelling something, to let them through, right? And the explanation being given to them was, right, like, you're the custom agent, so you're trying to do the right thing and stop the drugs, right? But the person above you says, yeah, we know there's drugs there, but let them pass. But why? Oh, we're in the middle of an investigation. If you stop this one truck, it's going to ruin the entire investigation, and 100 more trucks are going to pass with drugs, and we're not going to catch the people that we're trying to catch. So we got to let this one truck go. Well, that's what they're told, right? So they're like, oh, okay. So, like, the whole day they're letting certain vehicles pass with drugs. But in their mind, well, I'm not stopping investigations from happening. Right. Okay. Anyway, let's continue here. Do you believe there is a controlled opposition, aka Alex Jones, and if so, who? Man, I always tell people the world is way, way more complex than that. The world is it's very complex. It's very complex. It's too complex for George Soros runs the world. Like like it's too complex for that. Like okay, it's just this. The Illuminati running the world. It's too complex. I don't believe in an opposition. I believe in a lot of people wanting a lot of power. That's what I believe. I don't believe in good versus evil. That's shit they write on books. I just believe that we have a lot of countries, we have a lot of people, different forms of power, whether it's military power, whether it's monetary, like multinational corporations, for example, um, and they're all intertwined one way or another, and there's conflicts all over the place. That's what's going on. It's a very complex world. I don't believe in this. That there's this satanic ritual power that's trying to stop us from being freed. I just don't believe in that. Okay, I think that's a fantasy world. That's a story they tell people to follow, and I mean, who do you think is the best political commentator on YouTube? I'll stick to YouTube. Kyle Kalinske. I'll refer people to him. I think he's pretty good. I don't agree with everything he says, but I think he's pretty good. But secular talk. Do you think there are people in Trump's administration that are worse than Trump? Yeah, Chris Bannon. Bannon, like where should I start? Uh, but they're like worse individuals than Trump. That they're like there's more vile people than Trump. The thing is, Trump's an odd character, right? I don't think Trump is a bad person, right? I don't. I think he's like immature and stuff like that, but I don't think he's a terrible person. But Trump's just doing whatever he feels he needs to do to win. Like he wants to be a winner. That's what he's doing right now. So that's what Trump's doing. We got the documents. Like what documents? And every time, man, Alex Jones says, he goes, I was talking to people in the CIA, and they're like, he's so full of shit. No, he didn't. Right? I don't believe the dude. Yeah, I don't think he's fit to be the president either. I mean, the dude's terrible. I don't even think Trump realizes how powerful he is. I just don't. Like, he has no idea, right? I mean, the dude's wondering whether or not Obama wiretapped him, and it's like, why don't you just act, like you have everything at your disposal, the CIA, FBI, like you could investigate that and find out whether it's true or not before you tweet about it. Do you think congressional Senate committees like the Defense Committee, or for instance, have a lot of power, have a lot more power than the president, or am I confused? I think these committees are for show, man. I think they're for show. To be honest with you, it's all for show. It's political theater. That's what it is. It's how they get themselves out there, especially today with social media, right? A lot of these, like like right now, especially it's like the Democrats. Like right now, the Democrats are trying to impress like voters, right? Like they want to really show people how rebellious they are, and I think that's what it is for the most part. Which boxer do you think has the hottest wife slash girlfriend? Carl Froch, Bobby Kripik. Who do you think is worse, the establishment or the alt right? Depends what we're talking about, right? But the alt right, I would say the alt right for sure. I mean, the alt right is fucking terrible. Because the alt-right ultimately wants the power that the establishment has, but they're worse than the establishment, right? So like picture like a business, right now, like let's say like a small business, whatever business, and the manager you have is a control freak, but everything is at the very least, for the most part, stable, right? You still have a job, whatever. And then the person that wants to take over, like, hates them, right? Just like you do. But they want to take over and they just want to just ruin everything. Like they want to put the business out of business. That's kind of how I see the alt-right. I see it as a group of these crazy, like, it's a mixture of the alt-right. That's where you got to be careful. They're not all like Nazis and racists, and but it's a authoritarian group, right? They're authoritarians, is what they are, and they're just easily persuaded by a leader, right? And their leader right now is Donald Trump. That's They will believe anything this guy does, no matter what it is, and that's what they're standing by right now. But what's dangerous about the alt-right, to me anyway, is their nationalism, their xenophobia, um, and what makes it even more dangerous is that, not like the Nazis of the early last century, they're at a stage right now where they don't even realize that they're xenophobic. They don't even, like, they're the classic definition of it, but they don't even realize they're being that. And it's they don't even realize that how nationalistic they're being, um, because of propaganda on the right. That's what it is. But don't get me wrong, the left has its issues too. And as far as the establishment, my problem, man, and the establishment is a very vague, broad term. So let me just say that right off the bat, right? It's a very vague term. Um, but my problem is how smug they are, and and it just rubs people the wrong way. It rubs it rubs me the wrong way. So what are you gonna do? Did you support Bernie in the primary? I did. I did. I was very open about Bernie too. It's not like, um, I didn't agree with everything he proposed, but overall, I thought he was the only honest candidate on the ticket. I think Hillary was a fraud. I still think that. Okay. And I think they handed Trump the presidency by nominating her. People did not want the establishment. There was a group of voters that were hell bent on not voting on the establishment candidate no matter what. Everybody knows Hillary was an establishment candidate. So right off the bat, she lost voters, just right off the bat. Especially in the industrialized, like city, like not cities, states, Michigan. She almost lost Minnesota, but Wisconsin. Didn't lose Illinois because, I mean, Barack's from there, but other than that, had a rough time there. Lost Pennsylvania. When it comes to the left, there are partisan Democrats, authoritarian liberals, and libertarian liberals. Here's my issue with the left or the right. Any extreme on any level is bad, right? So you don't want to go too far right. You don't want to go too far left. You just don't. And but as of right now, my problem with the left is the sensitivity. I can't stand it. I can't. Um, it's just everything's offensive. Everything's politically correct, sensitive about everything. I want to be in my safe space. It's just it's irritating. It really is. And they don't even know how to pick their battles. It's they're more concerned about the way Donald Trump talks than what he really does. Like it's insane. So what are you gonna do? Also, my big thing with the left right now is, well, we can leave that for another day. Mr. Doc, do you completely believe individual presidential votes count, or is it possible the Electoral College do what the fuck the powers that be tell them? Well, I mean, do the votes count? They do, but I don't think most people know how it works. You're not really voting for a president; you're voting for a delegate. And the truth is, a delegate could switch votes if they want, and there's really nothing you can do about it. It's almost impossible to happen because these delegates are loyal to the candidate, but it's possible, right? But people have to understand that the purpose of the Electoral College was um, it was almost like a, what should we call it, like an insurance policy? Okay, in case the people elected somebody stupid and unqualified, that was the point of it. It was to, the idea was, it was very undemocratic. Like, it was, if the mob of people voted for the wrong person, then this was a way to fix it. Because if that's not what it is, then why is it even there, right? Do you think Trump is worse than every Republican, like a lot of the loyal Democrats claim? No. What? Look, Trump is bad, and I'm not a fan of Trump whatsoever, but worse than every Republican? No. Ted Cruz is way worse. You kidding me? Ted Cruz would have been a horrendous president. I mean, that dude wanted to turn fucking, he wanted to impose like Christian Sharia law in this fucking country. It's fucking psycho, that guy. All right, guys, I got like 2 more questions in me, and then I'm out. It's getting late. What else we got? Anybody else have any other questions? By the way, I know this is a very unpopular thing to do, but the Democrats need to let go of this Russian thing. They just do. Like, people got it. Like, he worked with Russians. Like, they got it now. Just let it go. Um, it's not going to go anywhere. You know. Um, people are starting to get, like, I don't know, man. It's just, I just feel like they're going to have so much fatigue from it that if you do discover some crazy shit that happened with Russia, people are going to just be like, oh yeah, okay, you're talking about Russia again. The Democrats. I mean, look. I mean, I don't know. I guess the party could do whatever the fuck it wants. I'm not someone that says, okay, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican. I could give a shit which party it is, but I do know this. So in the case of Democrats, what should they do? The Democrats need to revamp themselves, rebrand themselves, and become the blue collar party again. That's what they have to do. Become the party of FDR again. I mean, FDR is rolling in his grave. Okay, watching this party like sell out to corporations in Wall Street. You know, so I think that's what it is, man. I mean, they're corporate puppets too, the corporate Democrats. So no different than the Republicans, really. It's just a game that they play. So They just have to be different. I mean, being Republican light obviously is not working. Okay, Republicans control like over what 34 legislatures, and as far as states go, they control. They have most of the governor seats. They control the Senate. They control the judicial branch. They're going to be controlling the Supreme Court soon. They got the presidency, the Senate, the House. You got to rebrand yourself. It's kind of like rebuilding. All right, last question. Do you think Russia fear mongering, PC outrage, and nominating Clinton legitimize the rights? Nah, the right's been quote unquote legitimate for a while. That started with Fox News, man. All right. Fox News moved the goalpost. Fox News is so far right and they called everybody else liberal that it kind of skewed people's perspective. But nominating Hillary was just asking to lose the election, in all honesty. If it was any other polished politician, they would have slaughtered her. The only reason it was close because Trump was just so disliked. That's the only reason it was close. Right. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna call it a night. I'll probably do this once a week or so, something like that. It was fun chatting with you guys, and I'm out. I'm out. Peace.